I thought I would do a short video on the friendship in Aristotle and Aristotle's kinds of friendship. So I think that this is a really interesting topic in Aristotle, and I won't be able to do it justice here, but I can at least sketch the sort of outline. So for my discussion, I'm going to be using the trusty Complete Works. The Nicomachean Ethics is in Volume 2 of the Complete Works. It's published by Princeton. I will refer to the page number, and I will also give you the Becker number. So the Becker number was inserted and is usually the same for across editions. So if you don't have this particular edition of Aristotle and you're looking in some other translation or other edition, the marginal numbers there, the Becker numbers, should be the same for you. I think Joe Sachs' translation, I've taught that a couple of times. I generally like it. There's debate around different translations. Joe Sachs argues that he's trying to get as close as possible to the Greek without unnecessarily Latinizing or inflecting Aristotle's philosophy through the Latin philosophical framework. I think there's something to that, so it's worth reading. I usually use this edition of the Complete Works when I write or cite Aristotle. I don't know. People will tell you different things, so look around and read some critical reviews in the philosophical literature about these translations and how they differ, and make up your mind there. So friendship is really important for Aristotle because he thinks it's necessary for life, basically. It's a necessary thing when you're thinking about sort of how to live your life and the company that you'll keep. Aristotle thinks that friendship basically functions in three ways. There are friendships of use or friendships of utility, and there are friendships that are based around pleasure, and then there is the virtuous friendship, or this translation has a perfect friendship, or an excellent friendship. These are like your BFFs, you know. So the reason that there are these differences is because people can come into friendly contact for a variety of reasons. For instance, if they're trying to achieve the same goal. This is a friendship of use or friendship of utility. You're friends with a person because they are useful to achieving some end. And Aristotle says things like you don't always live around these people very much. So one contemporary example I think of here is like your work friends. They might be people you don't hang out with outside of work, but you're friendly with them on the job, and you interact with them mostly because you all share the same goals, because you're trying to do the same job. So any kind of friendship like that, where the primary motivation for your involvement with this person is because they are useful. They're useful to you. I often think of something kind of funny, like in Pineapple Express, this film where Seth Rogen's character is friends of utility with his drug dealer. Right, he goes to buy pot off of this guy, who's played by James Franco, and from Rogen's perspective, from his character's perspective, it's he's friends with this guy for some use because he sells drugs. Over the course of the movie, of course, their friendship transforms into a more virtuous friendship, perhaps. They become more invested in each other's character, but at first, at the beginning, at least, from his relationship is one of utility. So he has a use. He hangs out with that person because they're useful. Then there are friendships of pleasure. So these friendships are centered around receiving pleasure from the relationship, but not necessarily the person's character. So oftentimes, a good contemporary example of this, I think, is people with whom you're friendly, but you're really friends with them because you're participating in like a pleasurable activity together. Obviously, if you have like a friends with benefits or something like that you interact with for the purposes of sexual gratification, that's kind of a friendship of pleasure. But Also, if you're really hanging out with people just because you're partaking in, you are in a club that goes to the movies, or you're in like a wine tasting or a book club or something like that, or people that you'll play sports with, if you're in like a rec league, you all enjoy these activities. It's really about the pleasure that you receive from them, and you need the other people to do it. So your friendship with them hinges upon the pleasure that you derive from your interactions with one another. Um, and so you might not see those people outside of that activity, and you might not interact with them. The season might be over for your rec league. The game might end, and you go on your ways, and you don't really interact with those people that much outside of the context of the pleasurable activity, right? So the key thing about these two types of friendship is that they don't really last very long, because the ends are always changing, and you haven't really invested in that person, in their character, and in their life. It's been about the activities and the ends that you're pursuing. So the real focal point in the friendship is actually something external to the other person. You're just in relationship with them in order to pursue this other thing, either utility, usefulness, or pleasure, right? When you turn to the virtuous or the excellent friendship, that's when you're actually invested in the character of the other person, and you care about them and their well-being. You rejoice in their triumphs, and you are sad when they, fail, and you can commiserate with them, and you are invested in them, and you are interested in seeing them reach their potential and develop their character. You want to help them become a better person, and they also inspire you to become a better person. So that investment in the character that you then have to apply work to is really important for the virtuous, the perfect kind of friendship. And these are friendships that you have to work at. One of the main reasons that this sort of friendship can fall apart is because, one, someone changes their character, so they become different in some way. And since virtuous friendships are supposed to be between people of similar virtue, like you should be on the same level as your best friends in a lot of different ways, actually. Some ways that are kind of like classist. We'll put that on the back burner for just a second. But so you should be on the same level of excellence as your friends. So if they start to exhibit a bunch of vices, and become no good, you have to make some decisions about when to sort of like cut that person out of your life, basically. If you think that you cannot sort of like pull them back up to where they need to be, then you might have to end. The other thing is that people stop investing the work. So sometimes you move away, like someone who you were best friends with in high school or something like that, you might move away for college or something, and you stop investing the work. You lose contact with them. You don't do the things that are necessary to maintain the friendship and keep working at it. So you've stopped investing in that person. So it's not the distance per se. Aristotle is clear that it's not just the distance between you, but it's the lack of effort, right, to maintain and to strengthen, keep that bond strong. There's a lot of issues in Aristotle with being friends with people of different like status, or whether it's class or social status. That raises a lot of difficulties, and I think there are some places where Aristotle makes it seem like you really just can't be friends with someone who is really outside of your social class and social status and that kind of thing. That the friendship, no matter what kind of friendship, is supposed to have some sort of reciprocity to it. And in true, in excellent friendships, perfect friendships of virtue, there has to be a real equitable reciprocation. You have to sort of be able to live your life together. And it's not a big thing if you're covering meals for one another and sharing in each other's things and helping each other in various ways, but you can only do that if the playing field is relatively even. If I'm friends with someone who's really wealthy, they're going to be able to do a lot of things for me that I cannot really reciprocate because I lack the money. I can't pay for things or take them on trips or do this or that. I can't match their gifts at the holidays and that kind of thing. So this creates a real stumbling block for virtuous friendship whenever people are really outside of each other's sort of social space. I don't know, and I sort of would hate to say that it would be impossible for such people to be friends, but I can definitely see how that complicates it. And I can certainly see from Aristotle's perspective, especially given his sort of hierarchical understanding of the social order and the necessity of such hierarchies, I can certainly see how that fits in the context of Aristotle's larger philosophical project. But I think people could probably negotiate that difference in the real world. Though I think Aristotle's correct, at the very, very least, it raises certain complications in such friendships. Okay. So that's a good, I think, basic overview of friendship in Aristotle. This is in the Nicomachean Ethics. Again, friendships of use or utility, where the friendship is based upon someone being useful to achieve a particular end. The friendship of pleasure, where you're friends with someone merely for the pleasure of their company and the activities that you're able to participate in their company. But the focus there is just on sort of the pleasurable experience or the pleasure that's derived from your association with that person. And then, of course, the perfect or virtuous friendship, where you care about the other person, you care about their character, their well-being, and you're living life with this person and sharing in their ups and downs and that kind of thing, right? Hopefully someone who is equal to your virtue. So again, that's friendship in Aristotle, a very quick sort of overview of a very important concept in the Nicomachean Ethics.